Rather lads, welcome back to Cossy's Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in all parts of the world. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a brand new video. We're going to be diving into the latest around Arsenal stories from David Ornstein. He was in Qatar. It feels like I was the only content creator who didn't go to watch the World Cup in Qatar. And this was the best edition of the World Cup ever in my life. So if I missed this, I don't know which edition I'm really going to watch. But I'm going to be diving into David Ornstein's comments about Joao Felix and MUDRYK, saying that Arsenal hope there is some fireworks in January. We'll talk about Nicolo Zaniolo, comments from Fabrizio Romano, and also the agent of the player. They're saying that not really, he wants to stay. They want him to stay at Roma, but Arsenal have always been knocking on the door. We'll also talk about Marcus Thuram. According to the Mirror, Arsenal want to pay around 12 million euros for the young French striker. All that coming up. Hit the like button, subscribe to the podcast as well. I want to be part of the Euros 2026. I want to go watch them and create content about them. But that only happens if you lads hit that subscribe button and the like button. The money comes in, and then probably I go to watch the Euros and probably the World Cup as well in 20. It's going to be 2020, what? 2028 or something. So you could do me the favor by subscribing, and then you never know. So David Ornstein has been in Qatar, I think, to watch the World Cup final. I doubt he was there for the whole tournament, but he's been talking about he's been talking to haters, one of the TVs that really brought him up. About Arsenal and a couple of other transfer stories. And first and foremost, they said with Arsenal, they want to focus on MUDRYK. They don't want to focus on a couple of deals in January because that is a little bit distracting. Mikel Arteta knows what he wants. He shifted from Pedro Neto to MUDRYK in January. Pedro Neto was our priority signing, according to him, in the summer. We wanted him. We tried to get the deal done, but the pricing and, of course, everything, regarding to time and Wolverhampton Wanderers not willing to sell, Arsenal decided to walk away from the deal. So according to David Ornstein, MUDRYK right now is the player Arsenal hope to close down. It's the deal we hope to close down. And he says Arsenal are hoping some fireworks happens in January as we enter the new year. But some of the important talking points, as he was talking about MUDRYK on haters. Number one, he said talks are ongoing between Arsenal and Shakhtar Donetsk. We are also having talks between us and the representatives of the player. This was also confirmed by the Shakhtar CEO after his visit to London, talking to a couple of clubs. He said, right now, we do have some positive talks between us and a couple of clubs, but the problem is they don't want to meet the price we are actually asking for. So there are talks, according to David Ornstein, between us and Shakhtar. That is very different from all the other, targets we are actually looking at. And that puts MUDRYK in a very different situation as compared to where we are with Yuri Tillemans, where we are with Danilo, where we are with Facundo Torres, and all these other deals that we're trying to do. This one is kind of different. This one is kind of a little bit closer, right? Because we have approached Shakhtar, we've entered talks with them, we've initiated contact. Everything looks like it's moving in our direction until that 100 million euro price. So David Ornstein also says that the representatives of the player are in constant contact and communication with Arsenal to see that the deal actually goes through. Many Arsenal fans want him. The player wants to play for Arsenal. For now, everything is still a bed of roses. Now, the problem with this deal, of course, is still the 100 million euros. David Ornstein speaking about it as well and saying that at the moment, what Arsenal want to do is to wait a little bit, because we know and everyone knows that there is no club that's going to offer Shakhtar 100 million euros. There's no club that's going to offer them 80 million euros. So what Arsenal want to do is to, probably take a step back, wait for Shakhtar to think about it, give it some time, give it some thought, and then when they are ready to negotiate, they will call us back and we will get the deal done. And look, that is my approach to things. I don't know if I'm really bad at negotiation. I want to launch a few businesses in the coming years, and one of the skills that I really need is marketing. I think some of the best clubs at marketing, Lyon is good at marketing and business negotiations. I think Dortmund are also very good. I think Ajax also becoming better. Recently they've started making some good money out of their talents. Benfica is another hell of a club when it comes to tough negotiations, right? So I think what Arsenal need to do here is talk to Shakhtar, tell them of the, inform them of the price we have or the amount of money we want to pay for the player, and then, take a step back, because Shakhtar will be, they will want to listen to other offers. They want to talk to other clubs to see what the other side of the market offers. Probably could Manchester City come in, probably could Liverpool come in, probably could Manchester United come in, and all these other big clubs. But when they see that no one is coming in, at least no one is bringing them the money they're asking for, then in my opinion, that is when they'll go, okay, no one is giving us 100, no one is giving us 80. Can we get something like 60 million euros? And I think Arsenal need to be very nearby, and Arsenal need to be very, very agile in this deal. The moment Shakhtar ask for 60 million euros, that is when we barge in. That is when we kick the door. That is when we break the patterns of the door and, throw all that money onto their table. But still positive with MUDRYK. David Onstein here, the first journalist to say that Arsenal are close. The first journalist again to say the same statement that many of his sources are actually telling him that MUDRYK will happen. Not that it is doable, but it will happen. All right, hit the like button for that, because that is some positive story. Now Pedro Neto is off the radar for now. And I think the deal actually makes a lot of sense for me, for Arsenal to walk away, because Neto is a very young player with a long contract at Wolverhampton Wanderers. The contract runs down in 2027, doesn't it? 2027. It's a hell of a contract. It's a ridiculous contract, and that's why we didn't get him in the summer. I know many of you wanted him. I know really, he's exciting as a player to many of you guys, but that money is too huge. They were asking for in excess of what, 50 million euros, and Arsenal never actually wanted to pay that much. So Neto off the radar. MUDRYK now priority. He has overtaken Neto in the pecking order. Now, of course, Stein also asked about Joao Felix, and he said with Joao Felix, it's a complicated one. There is one easy bit of the deal that Atletico Madrid are selling. They will let him go. There's no question about that. The other easy part of the deal is also that the player will be moving. He is on the move. He's already told Atletico Madrid, I'm not going to be staying here. I don't want to stay with this club. I'm going to be moving on, right? I'm going to be going to another club. I want to change environment. I want a different structure. I want somewhere where I can play football in a free way. And I think this system and the manager and everything doesn't really suit well with me. And I got no problems with that when players really want to change environment, when players want to feel a little bit loved in other environments. Try greener pastures, try different grass, and see if it can actually work out. So he's going to be on the move, according to David Onstein, but we have three problems here. Number one is the loan fee that is going to be involved in this one. It is highly unlikely that any club will pay 100 million euros straight for the player in January. But the problem is there is going to be a huge loan fee involved. And that loan fee literally doesn't mean that you've bought the player. It means you've taken him on loan, probably to cover some of his wages, which are also going to be very, very high. And that is actually problem number two. So number one, I think Arsenal wouldn't want to pay like 10 million euros in terms of a loan fee. Yet you can get a player like Marcus Thuram at 10 million euros, upgrade him, and later sell him at 40, or even keep him for some good years, right? So according to David Onstein, the problem with Joao Felix deal, number one, is the loan fee that's going to be required to do that deal. Number two is the huge salary that he's getting, and may probably, if he's going to be on the move, he's going to want more money. It's a quality player, come on. He's 23. He's had a very, very exciting tournament at the World Cup. And in my opinion, if Arsenal want to do this deal, I've given them the green light. Go on and do that deal. Right, like, just do the deal. He's a wonderful player, wonderful talent. If you got him through the door, the world will be looking at us as title contenders. All right. I think the last problem of this deal is going to be the time it will take to negotiate. I know George Mendes is a very, very good guy, a very good lad in terms of being a transfer agent. I think it's not that controversial, but it's a deal that will take a lot of time. It's a deal that will have a lot of competition. PSG, Bayern, Manchester City, all these clubs are potential suitors for Joao Felix. They've got the money, they've got the salary, they've got the reputation, they've got the right managers, and they have the right projects around them to surround Joao Felix and make him a better player. He's already said he would love to play for PSG, go to the likes of Mbappe, alongside Neymar, alongside Messi, and you can see his vision. You can see his dream. It is totally valid. As a young player, that's where you want to be. I mean, as a player with a huge talent, that is where you want to be. You want to be alongside Mbappe, alongside Messi. It's gonna be, for me, the biggest, brightest star in the sky for Portugal in the future tournaments, 2026 Euros, World Cup as well, the World Cup that will be coming up as well. So he wants to surround himself with a real project and a real quality project. So for me, Arsenal may not actually do that, but David Ornstein doesn't think that way. He says there are links with him to Aston Villa, but that could be because of the agent and Unai Emery as well. But the interesting thing here as well that David Ornstein points out is the fact that the Cronkies are willing to back Mikel Arteta so that he can see his project through the last 6 months of the season, and that is gonna be key, guys. That is gonna be very key. 6 months with a lot of football. Just imagine we are halfway the season, but we've not played halfway through the season. I don't know if that makes sense, because at times English just has so little words, very few words for us to work with. But we played fewer games than half of the fixtures we have to play. Yet by this time, we should be halfway of the campaign. I hope that makes more sense. But the Cronkies are willing to back Mikel Arteta. They're willing to give him whatever he needs to either win the Premier League or stay in the top 4. So we're going to be waiting for that as well. Now, there is a story coming out from Fabrizio Romano around Nicolo Zaniolo. Now, Zaniolo is one of the most exciting talents in Italian football. I think apart from Visca Varasseria at Napoli, I think the other player that I really like a lot is Nicolo Zaniolo. Look, I love so many players in the Italian Serie A. I think Leao is exciting. But talking about Nicolo Zaniolo, Roma do want to keep him. That is the first thing. His contract is very close to coming down, to running down. But Roma want to keep him. And the other thing is that the player also wants to stay with the club. So Fabrizio has been speaking about this, and he said currently there is no contact between Arsenal representatives and Nicolo Zaniolo's camp. There is also no contact between Arsenal and Roma. So Arsenal have not told Roma they would love to sign Nicolo Zaniolo, and we have also not told Zaniolo's camp that we are interested in the player. However, what Fabrizio cannot rule out is that there are so many other teams in the Premier League that are interested in the young starlet, including Chelsea. Of course, they're always interested in everyone ever since Todd Boehly took over, including Manchester United, including a couple of other clubs like West Ham. But Nicolo Zaniolo, first and foremost, this is kind of a hoax because we've just confirmed that Mikhailo MUDRYK is our priority. But it's a player I would take with open arms. I don't know of an Italian talent right now. We could talk about Federico Chiesa, right? We could talk about Federico Chiesa. I got no problems with that. But Nicolo Zaniolo has something special about him. He's got something very magical about him. The problem I have with him is fitness issues and always being in the sick bay. He needs to get more game time. He needs to start playing more. He needs to start, being that kind of player that can play throughout the whole season, because he's got the talent, he's got the ability, he's got everything you need to be a top guy. So his agent has also said that at the moment we do not expect him to be moving. He loves Roma. They have already told Roma that they will be willing to sign a new deal. It is Roma, actually, that have not given them a new deal. This is crazy. And at times, I look at clubs do these things, and I'm like, what exactly are you even thinking about? Your top player, your best player, has initiated contact with you to sign a new deal, and you're stalling, and you're Roma. It's fascinating. If they want him out, they should just sign him on a new deal and then sell him for some good money. But look, if Arsenal want him, green light. yeah, that's a green light. Go and get him. He's a very, very nice lad. I'm never turning down Nicolo Zaniolo. Never in my life. And finally, according to the Mirror, Arsenal would be willing to pay around 12 million euros for Marcus Thuram. Mikel Arteta is quite open to the idea of bringing in another centre forward just to replace Gabriel Jesus. For those, like, is it going to be 1 or 2, 1.5 or 2 months that is going to be out, according to the latest reports. Now, Marcus Thuram had a very good World Cup, by the way. The boy is a star. He will become a star. 10 goals in 15 appearances for Borussia Mönchengladbach already in the German Bundesliga. That speaks the story about him right about now. So whether it's Marcus Thuram, whether it's Kolo Muani, whether it's I don't care. As long as we're getting someone that can challenge Eddie Nketiah, that can tell Eddie, look, this is a big club. You cannot be doing, trashing around and wasting all those chances. But anyway, let's wait and see what's going to come out of there. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the podcast as well. I'm still waiting for, I think 2 or 3 more days for me to get into the West Ham content. But of course, we can start as early as we want. Hit the like button for me. I'll see you soon.